Have you ever found yourself in desperate situations where the urge to beg for something, to yell until your throat hurts, or to flee from everything seemed like the only way out? Those moments when pride crumbles, your voice rises in useless fury, or the desire to disappear consumes you in the face of conflict, injustice, or loss. Think for a moment. How many times have these impulsive reactions left you even emptier, exhausted, and further from the peace you so desperately seek? What if I told you there's a silent strength, an unshakable stance that frees you from these impulses, and that this strength is within you, waiting to be activated? What if a Stoic woman doesn't beg, doesn't yell, doesn't flee? Not from a lack of feelings, but from a mastery over herself that redefines what it means to be truly strong. We are taught not to lose our composure, to be strong, but paradoxically, we are also conditioned to seek approval, to yield for the sake of harmony, and to avoid confrontation at all costs. This leads to silent exhaustion, when pressure mounts, we find ourselves in one of three roles: that of the one who begs for validation or help, the one who yells in despair or anger, or the one who flees from reality to avoid pain. But what happens when we embrace these reactive roles, losing our dignity and inner peace? The truth is that a woman's strength is not measured by the intensity of her impulsive reactions, but by the calm and dignity with which she chooses to respond to life. What if the key to your own unbreakability to living with purpose and authenticity lay precisely in a radical shift in perspective, in embracing a philosophy that teaches you to be the master of your own mind and your responses? Then see what happens when a woman becomes Stoic. She discovers a silent power, unshakable peace, and a freedom that changes everything forever. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy practiced by emperors and slaves, is a powerful guide to self-mastery. It's about becoming the strongest, wisest, and most virtuous version of yourself, equipping yourself with mental tools to face any adversity with dignity and serenity. When a woman embraces Stoicism, she doesn't hide from emotions, but learns to manage them wisely, using them as guides, not as masters that dictate her actions and lead her to despair. The first liberating step is to stop begging. Begging for love, for recognition, for a chance, for attention, for a justice that seems not to come. The Stoic woman understands that her dignity is non-negotiable. She understands the dichotomy of control. She doesn't control what others think or do, nor whether they will respond to her pleas. But she controls her own worth, her self-image, and her decision not to beg for what should be given freely or what is inherent to herself. She doesn't beg because she understands that her worth is not at the mercy of external validation. She acts with virtue, with integrity, and if the world doesn't respond, she maintains her dignity intact, knowing that her peace depends only on herself. Practical example. Imagine you are in a relationship where you constantly feel devalued and your partner doesn't show the affection or recognition you beg for. The common woman might cling to pleading, believing that if she begs more, maybe something will change. She acknowledges the sadness, but asks herself, can I control his actions or affection? No. Can I control my dignity? Yes. She doesn't beg, but she clearly positions herself about her boundaries and what she deserves. And if the other cannot or will not offer it, she has the courage to move forward, maintaining her integrity. Think of the metaphor of a pure spring. It doesn't beg the valley to receive it. It simply flows, offering its purity. If the valley accepts it, great. The Stoic woman is that spring. She offers her worth, her authenticity, but does not beg for acceptance. Secondly, a Stoic woman doesn't yell. This isn't about suppressing anger or frustration. Far from it. It's about mastering the expression of those emotions so they do not become destructive or rob you of clarity. Impulsive yelling is often a sign of losing control, an attempt to dominate another by force of emotion or to express a pain that cannot be processed. But Stoicism teaches that true strength is not in raising your voice, but in maintaining calm and reason in the midst of the storm. Practical example: you are in a heated argument where emotions are running high and the temptation to yell to be heard is immense. The Stoic woman, feeling anger, pauses. She remembers that she doesn't control the other's emotions, nor the external noise, but she controls her own voice, her tone, her words. She chooses not to yell. She can keep her voice calm, yet firm. This attitude disarms the aggressor, confuses the chaos, and allows her to maintain clarity to express her point more effectively and with dignity. She is not reactive. She is strategically calm. The waves yell, crash, try to break the rock, but the rock remains silent, unshakable. It doesn't yell back at the sea. Its strength is not in its ability to make noise, but in its solidity and unshakable presence. The Stoic woman, facing chaos and screaming emotions, is that rock. Finally, a Stoic woman doesn't flee. She doesn't flee from reality, from problems, from her own emotions, or from responsibility. Courage and discernment. Fleeing is an attempt to avoid pain, but Stoicism teaches us that true peace doesn't come from the absence of problems, but from the ability to face them with serenity and purpose. Practical example: faced with a big personal or professional challenge that frightens you, the temptation is to flee, procrastinate, or seek distractions to postpone confronting reality. But the Stoic woman, feeling fear, faces it. She doesn't flee. She moves into action, however small, with courage and reason. This stance of not begging, not yelling, and not fleeing is the manifestation of the 4 cardinal Stoic virtues. Wisdom, to discern what is and what is not yours. Courage, to face reality without flinching. Justice, to act with integrity and honesty with oneself. And temperance, to control your passions and maintain balance. The Stoic woman cultivates them, and this is what makes her an unshakable force, a silent leader who inspires not by what she says, but by what she is. When a woman decides to embrace Stoic philosophy and internalize the stance of not begging, not yelling, and not fleeing, she is not becoming an apathetic figure. She is transforming into a force of nature. This is the redefinition of feminine strength. Not a brute force that confronts, but a strategic and silent force that masters inner chaos and disarms external turmoil. She doesn't just survive adversities. She transcends them, emerging stronger, more dignified, and truly indomitable. For us women who are often taught to seek happiness in external ideals, to cling to what is transitory, it shows us that true validation doesn't come from external applause, but from the certainty that we are living according to our highest values, no matter what the world might take from us. The Stoic woman understands that dignity is not begged for, not demanded with shouts, and not recovered by fleeing. The Stoic practice of distinguishing what is within our control from what is not is your unbreakable anchor in moments of despair. The refusal of another to give you what you want, the injustice of a situation, the paralyzing fear of a challenge, these events are beyond your control. But your response, your attitude, your dignity, and your decision not to give in to the impulses to beg, yell, or flee, that is entirely yours. By focusing on what is intrinsically yours, you become invulnerable to what is not. For the modern woman, this means not being crushed by disappointment in a relationship, the loss of an opportunity, or criticism that seeks to diminish you. It means directing your energy toward your own integrity, your virtue, and your inner peace, which no one can steal. This active acceptance of reality, combined with the courage to face circumstances, is an act of profound feminine autonomy. In a society that often tries to control us through guilt or fear, Stoic spirituality here manifests in unshakable trust in your own capacity to transcend suffering, and in the universal order that governs life's cycles. It's the faith that, just as autumn and winter are followed by spring, adversity can be followed by growth and renewal. You don't control the harshness of the seasons, but you cultivate your inner roots and trust that light will return. This mindset allows a woman to see adversity not as a punishment, but as an opportunity to develop an inner strength that makes her a beacon of serenity for herself and, by extension, for the world. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher emperor, reminds us in his meditations, "That which does not make a man worse cannot make his life worse." Others' actions, losses, conflicts, they don't make you a worse person. By maintaining your dignity and control, you prove that external suffering cannot corrupt your essence, and that, therefore, your life is not made worse by it. This is the basis of your unbreakability. The woman who embraces stoicism and doesn't beg, doesn't yell, and doesn't flee, doesn't seek to be insensitive. She seeks to be invulnerable in spirit. She doesn't fear pain, but she knows it and uses it as a gateway to her resilience. She doesn't allow the world to label her as fragile, desperate, or cowardly. She defines herself by her courage, her self-mastery, and her unshakable dignity. Her life becomes a testament that this stance is the essence of true strength, serenity, and authenticity. So, the next time you feel at your limit, when despair tempts you to beg for something, to yell in fury, or to flee from reality, remember the Stoic lessons. Remember that you have a choice. You have the power not to surrender to these impulses. Take a deep breath, connect with your inner citadel, and activate the dignity, self-control, and courage that reside within you, woman. You have the power to forge your own unbreakability. If this message resonated with you, if it made you feel a latent strength and gave you a glimpse of your own capacity to master your responses, then I invite you to take the next step on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Like this video, because your like is a sign that you are choosing dignity and self-control. Share it with that woman you admire. The one you know needs to remember her own unshakable strength. She needs to know that a Stoic woman doesn't beg, doesn't yell, doesn't flee. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our next encounters with Stoic wisdom, where we'll continue to unlock the secrets of a full, unshakable, and authentic life. Your journey to a life of unbreakability and purpose begins here.